motto. Sometimes we win, sometimes we don't win. Don't give us the bird, don't give us your stink eye. We try our best and we're successful. Come watch our show at River Sponsors. It's time to start, enjoy the show.
Well, hello and very good day to everyone. This is Betting Weekly live over the course of the next half an hour or so. We are going to talk Premier League, big game, of course, Chelsea against Wolves in the top flight in England. And we'll also take a look at the games in Europe as well tonight. Como against Udinese in Serie A, Villarreal take on Mallorca in La Liga as well. We'll take a look into the future as well to a certain extent. We'll get some thoughts on some of the win-week action to come. Lewis Jones, as you can see, is alongside myself, Dan Roebuck. Lewis, how are you? How was your weekend? I mean, from a betting point of view, you know, you look at some of the results Arsenal getting, well, dropping points and not getting over the line at big odds on. Same with Newcastle as well. But then Liverpool just about scraped home, didn't they? Forest likewise. But there's always United to let punt us down at a short price, isn't there? How was your betting weekend?
My betting weekend. Good afternoon to everyone. Started well. I had some double chance. Bournemouth was quite keen to take on Newcastle. Just think they've been a bit overbet considering how good Bournemouth can be, and they totally turned it on. And I played it actually too safe by the double chance. I should have gone more aggressive, really. Should have backed them on the money line, really. Yeah, okay. Had Everton to beat Spurs. That was quite comfortable at half time.
They got bet Everton as well, didn't they? When we did the Premier League show last Thursday, I mean, Spurs were favourites and Everton were bets over the weekend.
I think it was the Solanke news probably before the game that probably affected the market there. I mean, they're just so decimated, aren't they, by injuries? And I've got not really much sympathy really for Tottenham on that front. I know you can get a little bit of bad luck in these situations, but to have that many injuries, there's got to be something in terms of the way that they're going about it from a sports science perspective or in training. And obviously Postecoglou's style is quite intense. So to get that many injuries to key players is a little unfortunate, but I do think that's just what's going to happen with his style of football when you're playing on so many fronts, unfortunately, for him. But yeah, I thought Spurs were, absolutely abysmal in that first half against an Everton team that were, I wouldn't say there for the taking, but confidence was low, don't score many goals. And to give Calvert-Lewin that opening goal, well, he didn't really give it to him. It was a very nice finish and a moment of brilliance for him. But just to allow him to get confident again and just set the tone for Everton, I think that was a sloppy from Spurs. I thought he was good, Calvert-Lewin, and he's probably a player that's going to have to be on everyone's radar, I think, over the next few weeks, because when he's confident and he's leading the line like that for Everton, he's a real force, actually. And he's probably been in the shadows a bit over the past sort of 6 months or so. So yeah, I'll be quite positive on Calvert-Lewin moving forward. But yeah, Spurs, I mean, what they 50-1 now for relegation, closer. The shorter in the betting for the relegation they are for the top four, which is quite staggering, really. But when you lose as many games as they do, it's not as surprising as you think.
Yeah, it's incredible, really. I think they're still favourites for the Europa League. I know they're favourites to win on Thursday against Hoffenheim, which seems remarkable, around about plus 120. Anyway, that's for later on this week. Let us know in the comments what you've been betting over the weekend, if you've had any joy, what you like when it comes to these Monday night games. Rick Haley says, morning, everyone from frozen Canada. Ming says, hey, fellas, a Man City now back, Lewis. We'll take a look at some top 4, top 6 markets in just a second. Disky says, welcome all. Simon says, good evening. Duncan, afternoon, everyone. Chris, afternoon, lads. Ethan says, Chelsea money line minus 260, total over 2.5. Anything else, fellas? Says Ethan. He's pretty confident with that. Ray says, good afternoon, Dan and Lewis. Ray, nice to have you along. And the real Brendan King says, great to see Lewis is back. Big fan of Jones Knows from Sky. Lewis is in tremendous form for us last Thursday, I think it was. Brilliant analysis on that United play. We've had plenty of big bets and big winners from our friends at Bet Rivers. Just to let you know, I mean, I'm not a UFC fan at all, Lewis. I don't know if you are, but
no.
We had a bettor who backed Divashvili, sorry about my pronunciation, against Nurmagomedov in the main event, UFC 311. I think that Troy just sent me these just so I can stumble over the pronunciation.
I was going to say, easy for you to say, eh? Yeah.
But anyway, a $44,000 play on the money line at plus 215 and a $38,000 play at 225 that both won. I mean, That's a sizable winning bet on UFC 311. Lots of bets, of course, over the course of the weekend with the NFL. 41,000 play on the Eagles -4.5 against the Rams, which was a winner. Under 56.5 points in the Lions Commanders game, which was a loss. That was a $35,000 play. Chiefs on the money line, 29,000. -526 short price, but that was over the line pretty comfortably. And the Commanders +7 live, -120, a $25,000 winner. And the Ravens on the money line was a loser, -114. So plenty of winners, 1 or 2 losers from the big bets over the course of the weekend. Just to let you know, if you've got a BetRivers account, if you are logging onto the BetRivers app, plenty of football and tennis that you can watch tonight. Villarreal Mallorca is live from 3 p.m. That's La Liga. Mirandes Malaga in the second tier in Spain. Boavista Casapia in Portugal. Twat against Annecy in Ligue 2. And also tennis. Tommy Paul, Zverev and Coco Gauff against Paula Badosa is also streamed live on the site. Get your picks in for tonight's action. Reese Beggars End and Fox Fee, glad to have you along. Are City back? Are other teams favoured maybe to get top 4 here, Lewis? Just give us your thoughts on how it stands at the moment. City with that 6-0 win over Ipswich. They are -225 for top 4. You wouldn't have got that at the start of the season. Forest +175. Chelsea -137. Newcastle +175. Every single time that we think we get a team that's bound for Champions League qualification, they stumble. See Chelsea, see Newcastle recently. Could Bournemouth make the top 4 +900, or is +190 top 6 a better value play? Anything catch your eye? Top 4, top 6 after the weekend football, Lewis?
Well, the Man City price there, I think that's heavily affected by recency bias, isn't it? And you can't really let that come into your thinking when you're looking at City, can you? Because there's so much long-term evidence, really. I know they absolutely dismantled Ipswich on Sunday, but this is a team that were playing Ben Godfrey and Cameron Burgess as centre-backs. And this is City are entitled to go and sort of blitz players like that in individual battles, and there's a very clever tactical move from Guardiola to completely bombard the side where Godfrey was playing, because he's a very sort of ropey defender, and De Bruyne and Doku just absolutely ran riot, and they got to 3-0 up and it's game over. But still, there were signs that Liam Delap, I thought, caused them issues in transition again, and he got into a couple of good positions and set up some counter-attacks. So still, I think without the ball, I do think City are still probably one of the worst teams in the Premier League still. And I'm not getting carried away, and I would advise punters not to fall into a trap here of thinking that City are back. So I'd be still quite keen to sort of take on the prices there for their top 4 finish. And the Forest price are really starting to I don't know, starting to just wink at me more and more week by week that they keep sort of like producing these results. They're such a hard team to beat, and I know they sort of made it a little bit difficult for themselves against Southampton, but just a very high functioning team that are so good defensively. And if that price just continues to stick around this mark, maybe over the next 2 weeks or so, and they've got some big games coming up. I think they've got Bournemouth and Newcastle over the next month. If they can get through those games unscathed, I think it's on this top 4 finish now for Forest, because they've got a massive advantage over teams in and around them with the fact that they haven't got European football to negotiate. And they played already some of their away games this season. They've already played Arsenal, Man City, Chelsea, Liverpool, all away from home.
All bar Newcastle in the top 6. They played
absolutely,
away.
Yes. Yeah. And they played Liverpool at home already as well. So that fixture is sort of ticked off. And I was just having a look at their running, actually. So I always like looking to see how difficult like the last few games are for teams that are maybe surprising a few. And then are they going to have it sort of really difficult when the pressure's on in the final few games? Their final 5 games. So we got Brentford. They got Brentford at home, who are awful away from home and probably will have nothing to play for at that point. Then Palace away, they'll have nothing to play for. Then they've got Leicester at home, who should be relegated by then. Then they've got West Ham away, again, a team in mid-table. They'll have nothing to play for. Then on the final day of the season, they got Chelsea at home, which could be a bit of a shootout for a Champions League place. So I think that running really favours you if you're really looking to have a bet on Forest at the prices here. And I haven't actually pulled the trigger on them yet, but it's a bet which I think if they can come out this month unscathed and it stays around even money for a top 4 finish, and Man City continue to just sort of look really ropey without the ball and offer up chances against sort of good elite opposition, then the Forest price is the one I think we really have to sort of consider now at this stage, because I think of the fixture list probably isn't factored into that price at the moment.
I completely agree. I mean, they've played all bar Newcastle in the top 6 away from home. Newcastle's still got to go to Liverpool, Arsenal, and City. Bournemouth got to go to Arsenal and City if you think they've got a bit of a squeak here as well. And it's one of those things as well. I don't think the price can't put you off. I remember when Leicester won the league, and obviously they won it at 5,000 to 1. But all the money came in the new year in Feb and March when they were still overpriced, but obviously nowhere near 5,000 to 1. They were trading single figures, but it was still a value play. Sometimes you can't ignore what's right in your face here with Forest. I mean, it's just one of those situations where plus 175, as you say, get through the next few games and that run-in as you just described, I think there could be a value play. It's going to be interesting to see how it plays out. I think we're all aboard the Forest train. If you're, we're going to have a betting weekly sort of Forest love in here, I think, if they get over the line at the end of the season. What have we got on the messages? Duncan says, definitely a trend for away teams in the Premier League this season. Yeah, possibly. Disky says, Forest to win the league, the best value. Ming Wood just keeps delivering for Forest. He scored again, didn't he, at the weekend? And if Arsenal go much further behind Liverpool, any chance they lose their bottle and fall away? I think Arsenal still get top 4, Lewis, don't you?
Yeah, I agree. I think they're too...
I think there's two
good defensively.
Yeah,
too good
there's
defensively.
potentially 2 places up for grabs. Potentially, we'll see how it pans out. That's the top 4 and top 6. Let's take a look at tonight's big game in the Premier League, which is Chelsea versus Wolves here. Chelsea are minus 250, Wolves plus 600. The tie here at plus 410. Now Chelsea without winning 5. Wolves have lost their last 2, but against arguably the 2 most informed, or were the 2 most informed teams in the league in Forest and Newcastle. I don't know if Cole Palmer is going to play. There's a little bit of news saying he's got an ankle issue, but I presume he's going to start. He started every single game this season. We've got a special, incidentally, and a boosted price on Cole Palmer to either score or assist, and Chelsea to win half-time, full-time against Wolves. So that boosted up. Check the BetRivers website for the latest price on that. What's the word with Cole Palmer? Is that just old news with him potentially missing this one, Lewis?
Yeah, I always just like to check the markets here ahead of the game, just in case to see if there's been any sort of moves or murmurings. And I did check before I come on, and they're pretty solid, Chelsea. So I would assume that
he's going to play.
If he's anywhere near 100, if he's 95% fit, I think it's just a knock on his ankle. I think Maresca referenced it came from how much he gets kicked. So I'm guessing it's just a contact injury. So if Palmer is anywhere near fit, you have to get him out there, I think. So I wouldn't be. I'd be quite surprised actually if he doesn't play. But maybe as we get closer towards team news, if there's some shifts in the market, that probably speak volumes. I think because they are very clued up.
Yeah, I mean, let's face it, and he's one of the few players that would move the market fairly significantly. I mean, if he wasn't playing, Chelsea would drift a little bit, and Wolves and the tie might come in. I look at those prices, and I can't back Chelsea, Lewis, at minus 250, but I'm a little bit timid with Wolves at 6 to 1 as well. Over and under line is high at 3.5. Both seem to score. Yes, because, Wolves tend to score, but Chelsea are a little bit of an unders team. In the main markets, is there anything that catches your eye, or do you think those prices are pretty much set and right?
Yeah, I'm sort of seeing it how you are, Dan, actually. I don't want to back Chelsea there, really, at those sort of prices, but also I'm a little bit sort of cold on Wolves as well, because they're sort of both quite untrustworthy teams, I think, especially, Chelsea. Fan base was getting very excited, weren't they, before Christmas? 5 wins on the spin. They got back into plus 300 to win the title,
Incredible.
Which is it's only 5, and then which looked a massive overreaction at the time, and I think that's proved to be the case now. The fact they've gone 5 without a win now, and they're actually the first team in a Premier League season to win 5 games and then not win in the following 5 since Burnley in 2017, which is bonkers, really, isn't it? It's an unusual thing to happen to a team sort of competing at that end of the league. But I suppose that's what happens with inexperienced squads and an inexperienced manager, which hasn't actually been talked about enough actually this season in terms of Maresca. I mean, he's only had 2 jobs, hasn't he? And that's going to affect him, I think, in terms of when maybe the going gets a bit hot towards the end of the season. So yeah, Chelsea gone from plus 300 now to plus 6,600 to win the league. So they're completely out of the running, and it's obviously it's very disappointing, wasn't it? Not for Chelsea not to win in 5 games against the sort of the caliber of opposition that they've been playing against. They didn't win against Everton, Fulham, Ipswich, Palace, and Bournemouth, and it's not good enough really for a team supposedly capable of challenging for the top 4. And they've been a very, very expensive team to follow. As if they would have been going off sort of minus money in all those matches, wouldn't they? So if you have been back in Chelsea in January, I mean, January is a long month anyway, isn't it? But
Yeah,
payday can't come soon enough for people that have been
absolutely.
back in Chelsea during this spell, because they have been really letting us down. And I'm just trying to think what the reason for the drop off is. You always want to try and find some evidence and some reasoning behind why they've sort of gone from winning 5 to a winless run of 5. And I think it's to do with Nicholas Jackson.
They stopped scoring, haven't they? Basically, they're too reliant on Palmer, aren't they?
Absolutely. And I think he's sort of shown his true colours, Jackson, here, of being quite an average Premier League goal scorer. And I do think he's actually holding them back in his current form and will continue to hold them back from really getting where they want to go. I just think he's a very sort of inconsistent finisher. Without a goal in the last 5 games now, which is probably no coincidence they haven't won in that time. And he's had 16 shots in that period. So the expected goals figure is 2.21. So he should have scored over 2 goals, really, compared when you're analysing the data. And in terms of big chances, he's missed 5 in that time as well. So he's sort of showing signs that has sort of plagued his career, really, in terms of his finishing ability. And I've just always had sort of doubts about his ability to score at this elite level, even though he did go on a bit of a hot streak earlier this season. I was still quite cold on him, and I don't really like strikers. I think it is the fact there's a combination I don't like with strikers, and it's ones that miss a lot of big chances, Captain Obvious, but also ones that are offside a lot. And he just ticks both boxes. Since the start of last season, Jackson has missed the 3rd most big chances of any player in the league, and only 2 players have been caught offside more than him in that time as well. So that sort of equation for a striker never really sits well with me. And just had to run his big chance conversion rate earlier as well, just to try and put some numbers behind sort of my theories here. And he's got 32% big chance conversion rate in the Premier League since the start of last season. And you just compare that to some of the top strikers. Isak's at 50%, Salah's at 49%, even Kai Havertz working at 43% big chance conversion. So Jackson's rate is quite similar to strikers like Mikel Antonio, Danny Welbeck. So if Chelsea really want to get to where they want to go, I do think they're going to have to find a striker that's consistently better in front of goal at putting these big chances away. So yeah, as you mentioned, that sort of the short price on Chelsea while Jackson's in this sort of mood at the moment where his confidence is obviously quite low, I wouldn't be going anywhere near him tonight. But then again, can you back Wolves? Have you seen enough from them? Cunha being fit is obviously a big, and back from suspension is big for them. But I'd just be quite cold on the outright full stop really, and look elsewhere for a bet, I think. Come on
then. You're usually good with a prop somewhere. You usually try and drill down to some of the stats to find some sort of play. Where are we going for a bet in this Chelsea Wolves game tonight, Lewis?
Well, I do like Wolves to score in the game. Actually, I think that's the way to sort of get Chelsea, get against Chelsea here is by backing Wolves to get on the score sheet. The Chelsea backline for me is just they've been shuffling it around a lot of late. I know they've had injuries and sort of issues with various players. I think Disasi's thinking about moving on, and they've had to recall Chalobah from Palace. I don't think that's helping really Maresca to form a base to work with. So they're always very vulnerable, and the fact that Wesley Fofana's out injured as well. They're the Fofana and Levi Colwill are the 2 that you can probably build your season around. And the with and without stats do offer quite a lot of evidence that they miss Fofana quite badly. So when he and Colwill play together in 12 Premier League games, they're conceding just 1 goal per game. But when one of them doesn't play, that sort of rockets up to 1.6 goals per game, and that's
big difference.
And that's 9. That's a 9-game sample size. So I think we can put a lot of weight into that, and haven't kept a clean sheet in those 9 games either. So do think there is hope for Wolves here, in terms of them creating sort of some big moments and testing Chelsea. And the numbers have improved attacking wise under Vitor Pereira since he's come in, creating more big chances. The shot quality's gone up as well. And as I mentioned, the fact that Matheus Cunha's fit tonight after missing those games for the ludicrous suspension for stealing some glasses.
Someone's glasses.
Yeah, that's one of my favourite reasonings. And he
got the ban from 3 to 2 because he apologised and bought some new glasses.
Yes. If you read the sort of disciplinary hearing quotes from that, it's a really good read. I'd recommend anyone going to read that because it's really, really quite comical. But he looks like he's going to start tonight, and he is mustard, isn't he? I love watching Cunha. He's a Champions League level player, I think, and they've got a real gem on their hands, and they probably should enjoy him while they can, because I think they'll be circling in the summer. Someone's going to pay the money for him. I think even Arsenal. I think he's perfect for Arsenal, Dan. What would you think about that? I mean, he can play in any position off the front line. He can mix it. He's got that sort of edge about him. I think he would fit in really well at Arsenal.
No, I
Could you
think
see
he
them,
would
could
do
you see
as
them
well.
doing that in the summer?
It's a difficult one because you wouldn't call him an out-and-out striker, would you? But
No.
and I think that's what Arsenal need. Let's face it. And interesting to see some of the comments. I think someone was talking about Isak and Arsenal not paying the money in the comments a little while ago. But yeah, I mean, he's a terrific player. I mean,
He's an upgrade on Trossard and Martinelli, though.
He's a massive upgrade.
Yeah?
He's a massive upgrade on Trossard. I mean, it all depends where you want to play. When I've seen Cunha play well, he's just that all-action sort of attacking midfielder, pop-up left, right, through the centre. He's great with the ball at his feet. He'll take shots from 25, 30 yards, and Arsenal stop shooting, haven't they, outside the box? Not that they take too many shots outside the area anyway, but he is a player that can give you that little bit of X factor. I'd be very surprised if he's still at Wolves next season, smashing people's glasses permitting. So what are we saying? Are we saying Wolves to score? What's the angle? What's the bet?
I like we won the Cunha train here. I think I like him to score or assist here at plus 165. I think that is the bet. I always like backing because, as you mentioned, he's very all action, very busy. He's always good to back in these sort of shots on target, goals, assist market, because he's just everything to this Wolves team. He's the creator, he's the goal scorer, he's the one that sets the tone. He can mix it. I mean, he's given sort of license to really do what he wants off the left. And yeah, I do like his price tonight to score assists, considering Chelsea's vulnerabilities probably through the heart of their defence here as well. Because Cunha's working at a goal or assist, so that's a goal involvement every 115 minutes this season, which is nearly won a game, which was really impressive for a player that's playing for a team that are struggling for relegation. And so he's recorded 14 goal involvements in total. So he's a real threat. Carries a lot of quality, and just my sort of workings out on the price here. So that put a sort of 165. I'd have it closer probably to sort of maybe even money, just based on his record in terms of working out that sort of goal involvement per 90, and the fact that Chelsea haven't got Fofana tonight. I do think Wolves will score in this game at least once, and I just think it's very likely that Cunha's going to have something to do with it. So that sort of plus 165. Probably should. I think he's going to give you a good run for your money, and he just always gives you a chance, Cunha, because he's so direct and so involved with everything. You always feel like you've got a chance of landing this. I think so. It's probably quite a. There's some bets that, like if you're taking it under, like the last bet I put on this show was the Man United not to score in the first half.
No, it's brilliant.
I mean, it's a winner, but it's not a great one for people to follow, is it? Because you're sort of hoping something not going to happen. So in terms of having the stomach for it, is you have to be a certain character, I think, and I'm okay to sort of chance those bets once if we know.
You can look a bit foolish. You can look a bit foolish with unders bets, can't you? And certainly something like that, you know. But sometimes they're the best value plays because everyone likes to go over. Everyone likes to play to score rather than not to score, don't they? So
this one's a little bit more enjoyable, I think, to have a bet on if you're backing something to happen and Cunha to get involved. So yeah, I do think that plus 165 Cunha to score assist. I think that's live tonight.
Good stuff. Lots of comments coming in. Let's just rattle through some of the ones that we've got in. What else we got? Reece says, if Forest played defensive like they did against Southampton, I think they could hit a rough patch. Arsenal should get Liam Delap, says Simone. Brill says, Wolves have been struggling defending wingers. Madueke Sancho shot on target seems decent. Reece says, like Coman over in the Serie A game today. We'll get to that in just a second. Simpike says, Chelsea versus Wolves over 3.5 corners at half time. Disky stats plus 1.5 Wolves on the Asian line. Adam Thompson, Chelsea 2, Wolves 1, correct score pick for you there. Ming says, if this winless run continues, Maresca will generally be under pressure. What else have we got here? Como from Rick Haley says, Como game, first half draw. Lots of comments coming in. Just trying to check. Ian says Chelsea and both teams to score. Chelsea both teams to score plus 120 is seemingly popular. Kwang as well to get on the score sheet. And Brian says Wolves are winless the last 5 on Monday nights. And Pegasen says there's nothing as miserable as betting on unders. Nigel Seeley loves betting on unders. I mean, it's generally the way forward if you want to be profitable, isn't it? It's sort of the way that, you know, bookmakers always price overs a little bit. You know,
swimming against the tide is key sometimes, isn't it?
I think what you've got to do.
And you've got to take the hit sometimes. You've got to take that. Sometimes it might not be a very enjoyable watch, but if you're serious about trying to make a profit or an edge in this game, I do think you have to consider these bits that aren't fun to watch sometimes.
We've got a little bit more from Lewis to come, just looking ahead to the Champions League action. Just to reference the 2 games tonight across Europe here, because 1 or 2 commenters talking about the Como game. Como against Udinese. This is Cesc Fabregas' side. obviously. Dele Alli signed for him, but he's not in the squad, incidentally, for this game. They have signed a couple of players in January, Hassan Diao and Maxence Caqueret and Stephen James. So the European show will tell you what a good player Caqueret's been for Lyon, although he's sort of frozen out, I think, a little bit this season. Diao, I think he's around about plus 400 to score. He's a right winger. Might be some sort of play. Now, I found this very, very difficult. Como at just over even money here. Udinese are the drawkins over the last 18 months. 24 draws since the start of last season. Only Juventus have drawn more in Serie A. I couldn't put anyone off the draw in this. When it comes to the money line, 75% of the money on Udinese, 61% of the tickets on Como. So a little bit of a split between sort of pro money and public money. Also, 91% of the money and 75% of the tickets on overs. We've had money for Udinese on the Asian line at minus 136 with half a goal start. And also on Como, 4.5 total corners. But the draw, I think, could loom large. Udinese have drawn their last three. And Como have got better. And they're good at home. They've only lost, I think, to teams in the top 8 at home when they have been beaten. But I think that could be a draw. And Villarreal, I just saw one of the comments on YouTube here. Where was it? Talking about the fact that they've drifted quite a bit and they could be a bet. It's an interesting one because we've got them down as minus 148. I think they've drifted a little bit now. Yeah, Simon says, great show, guys. Villarreal dropped so much now. It's almost value on Mallorca. It's actually saying the other way. Well, incredibly, these two sides are just outside the Champions League places. It's 5th against 6th. Mallorca are in 6th place and they've got a minus goal difference. So work that one out. They're a massive unders team. They were beaten by Real Madrid in the Super Copa semi-final in their last game. They were beaten by Pontevedra in the Copa del Rey as well. They went down 3-0 to a 4th-tier side, but there was only one regular starter in that game. So it's a difficult one. One thing I would say about Villarreal is that Ayoze Perez, who's got 8 goals this season, he's been missing recently. He's back in the squad. It's great that the La Liga sides and indeed a lot of the European sides that put their squad on Twitter. Ayoze Perez back in the squad, Nicola Pepe back in the squad. He's got 3 goal involvements from limited starts. And I just think that Villarreal surely will get over the line here. Minus 148 is not much of a price. If
just on that, Dan. Sorry to come in. It's just I want to just notify punters here. Someone very shrewd who likes who sort of supplies me with a bit of La Liga stuff. He did advise me to have a look at the Mallorca shots on target line tonight.
Oh yeah.
So I think that probably explains. You say Villarreal have been quite weak. Did you say? I think
they have recently, but they've had players out injured that are scheduled to come back. I mean, they are a massive overs team, but they were beaten by Real Sociedad 1-0, who are king of the both teams to scores. Myself and Steve got suckered into going overs because you've got Mallorca who are on this team, Villarreal who are overs team. Villarreal have been sort of suckered into sort of defensive games recently because they've been missing players. Whether we see an upswing tonight, I don't know. I mean, defensively, Villarreal are terrible. I mean, I think they've got going into the weekend, they have the 3rd worst defense in the league. So that sort of spins it as if Mallorca might be able to get something on it from a shot on target point of view. Did he offer a bet? Did he offer any advice?
Well, it's over 2.5 shots on target for Mallorca, so that would sort of fit into that narrative.
Ring true. Definitely, that would ring.
I think that's sort of just shorter than even money. I think so. That may be where the play could be. I'll be definitely having a look at that before that kicks off later for sure. So yeah, over shots on target for Mallorca is the advice I've been given, but don't shoot the messenger.
Yeah, well, no, we'll take our third-party advice. I looked at the games for the last couple of hours before coming on tonight. I just couldn't sort of look at anything that looked really stand out. I mean, Villarreal scored in the first half in all bar one of their home games this season, but in terms of the first half table, they're only mid-table in it. They're only 11th. I was trying to get some sort of angle for sort of lead at first half, minus 141. Scoring the first half, minus 141. Leading at half-time, plus 128. Half-time, full-time, plus 155. That sort of thing I might end up dropping on. But I think team news is key because these players who have been missing are back in the squad. Whether they're going to start or not, I don't know.
I've always found in these situations where you're sort of going around the houses trying to find angles, different markets. If nothing's jumping out, it probably is a no bet, isn't it? At the end of the day, because you know when you're hunting, trying to hunt a price, and one just comes to you. I'd rather have the bets come to me rather than allowing me trying to find one which maybe isn't there. So that could be maybe it is a no bet tonight. But I think the over 2.5 shots on target probably is a runner if Villarreal are very vulnerable defensively. But yeah, it does seem like one of those. It's a tricky fixture, I think.
It's massively. I mean, Rick Haley just says most of Mallorca's games are 0-0 at half time. I mean, they are. I think they've been drawing 13 times at half time.
Wow.
In La Liga this season. They're an awful team to watch. A lot of them are 0-0 at half time, as Rick points out. Stephen Cook says Australia Open has my attention today. Game better match. I think he's out shortly if it's not out right now with Nigel and Sean. Simon says Mallorca's such a tough, well-organised side. Not easy to break down, even for Villarreal. And we saw that against Real Sociedad last week. I can't put people off sort of both teams to score. No, it's such a hard game. Byron says Mallorca shots on target 2.5 minus 140, 3.5 plus 163. Carl Larin, Canadian striker, and Mariki, who's a bit of a streaky striker, can get 3 at least. Byron says Villarreal very open side. That is very, very true. Ginepi says he's going to have a little bit of Larin anytime goal scorer plus 400. Game better match is out now, incidentally, for all your tennis tonight. In terms of where the money's been going here for this game, 75% the money and tickets on Mallorca. Mallorca have been bet, apparently. So interesting that there's been money for them. Mallorca's won 4 of its last 6 La Liga matches as an away underdog. So that's a stat for you. Before we wrap things up, let's just have a quick chat, Lewis, about what's coming up in midweek. Not really our detail here, but it's a fascinating Champions League slate. Match day 7, match day 8. We are venturing into the unknown here because obviously we haven't had match day 7 and 8 previously. I know you've got a little bit of an angle in on the Monaco Villa game. Just before that, this Paris Saint-Germain Man City game is absolutely fascinating because City, when the fixtures were released, were short price favourites. PSG, I think, were around about 2-1. Then with City's troubles, and Nigel pointed this out ages ago, it's like you've got to try and get against City down the line. Well, a lot of people would have bet PSG. They came into about plus 140. I think they're about plus 165 now. Suddenly PSG have faltered a little bit and City maybe are back in form. I don't know. I mean, PSG won at the weekend. Everyone thought they were going to rest players. I don't think they did in their come from behind win against Lens. I mean, any sort of angles, PSG, City, because both of them need to win here. There is a potentially, they could miss out on the knockout stages.
Yeah, we've got jeopardy, haven't we? Who'd have thought
we
it?
have.
This I think it's this competition has sort of been built to so this situation doesn't happen with the fact that we won't have any jeopardy or big heavyweights being on the verge of being potentially knocked out completely of the tournament. So this is a really fascinating game. Really looking forward to it, and I think it comes whatever way you look at this game. If you look at it from, there's 2 ways you can sort of fall, can't you? You can fall the positive side for City that they're back and you're getting a good price for your money there because that's how the market's formed. But then if you want to take them on, you're also getting a good price. So it's a really sort of fascinating betting here. I would just add to the mix here. PSG's defensive record in the Champions League is the best of any team when it comes to shots faced and XG against, which is really surprising.
Yeah, really
considering
surprising.
They've taken just 7 points from their 6 games. But they are remarkably the best defensive team in the Champions League based on that data. They've only conceded 42 shots in their 6 games, which is just 7 per game. And that's the fewest of any team. And their expected goals against data backs it up as well, 0.74 per game. And that's the best of any team, better than Liverpool, better than anyone. So it does give the impression that perhaps this team is sort of underperforming a little bit and they're not getting the results that they potentially deserve. So I'd probably be quite positive on their win price and the draw no bet prices. But the bet I want to just mention quickly before we go is the is Yuri Tielemans actually for
this is Monaco Villa.
Monaco Villa on Tuesday. I'm just going to get his price up here because it did stand out. His goal scorer price, plus 575 to him to score in Monaco. He scored at the Emirates on Saturday with a very sort of well-timed run into the box. And this is the avenue we're going down now with Tielemans. The fact he's playing in a role which is very attack-minded and the markets haven't really caught up to it yet, I don't think. Because since John McGinn's injury, he's been sort of pushed into that sort of advanced midfield role with the 2 midfielders sitting behind him. And he's had 10 shots in his 5 games. And he obviously scored at Arsenal. And he's just been given much more license to play more or less up alongside Ollie Watkins at times when they haven't got possession. And really good chances are going to drop his way if he continues to play in this role. So that plus 575 for in a game which Villa probably have got a very good chance of going there and scoring a couple of goals. I do think that's a really big price, and he could be a player to follow over the next few weeks, I think, in all these shots markets and the goals markets if he continues to play in this sort of second striker role behind Watkins. So just, I'd keep Yuri Tielemans on your side across all these sort of prop markets over the next few weeks, I think.
Yeah, former Monaco player as well, isn't he? Had
Of course, yeah.
a couple of years there, so it's always another little angle, maybe sort of remind his former employers what he's capable of. Great stuff. So we're all aboard the Cunha train. That's the bet for tonight, Lewis.
Yeah, score assist plus was it 175? I think
170,
I think that's
something like that.
170. Yeah, I think it's a good play to have against this Chelsea team that do concede goals, and he's Wolves' best player by an absolute mile, and he's going to relish this occasion, I think. So yeah, Cunha to score assist.
Score assist. That's the play for tonight. Good luck, everyone. Many thanks to everyone who's tuned in today. Watch out for Tielemans. You're looking at anytime goal scorer, shots on target, those sort of markets in the Champions League for the game tomorrow. That fascinating PSG game as well against City. Lots more to come when it comes to the Champions League. Of course, we've got Nigel back tomorrow. And Steve talking you through match day 7 of the Champions League. But from myself and Lewis for tonight, that is your lot. Have a good betting evening, and hopefully you'll join us tomorrow and bet responsibly, everybody. Have a good night tonight. We'll speak tomorrow.